So when y'all see that logo right here on my screen, on your screen, you already know it's not going to be a good one. And it isn't. Unless there's some petty music behind it, which this video does not have that. So I was scrolling through Facebook and my cousin who was from New York actually posted this article on his Facebook page. And I said, I definitely have to speak about it because of the historical context behind it, but in a more recent way. And I actually also shared this article on my Twitter account. So if you follow me on Twitter, you know exactly where I'm headed with this. So apparently, there was a lot of arrests that happened in New York recently because people were not practicing social distancing guidelines. 40 people were arrested. And out of those 40, 35 of them were black. Now, we have seen images, and I've talked about them, where there's a lot of palm colored people gathered in very close spaces, in parks and whatnot. And not one of them was arrested. They were given masks, and they weren't even protecting themselves at all. No gloves, no masks. They had to be given the items in which they should have been wearing. And as close as they were, that did not look like social distancing to me, but they arrested 35 black people out of 40 that was in a group. So that means 5 of those people were not black, which leads me to believe that these 35 were targeted. Remember stop and frisk. I had to get corrected by one of my subs on Twitter, and rightfully so. This isn't a new stop and frisk, because that's what I called it. This isn't a new stop and frisk. It's the same exact one. It's just that the situation at hand is different, and now they have an even more reason to really enforce it without calling it stop and frisk, if you get what I mean. The article reads, an initial glimpse into social distancing enforcement in New York City shows that the majority of those arrested in Brooklyn were black. Of the 40 people arrested for violating social distancing rules in the borough between March 17th and May 4th, 35 were black and 4 were Hispanic and 1 was palm colored. The office said it declined to prosecute all 40 cases. Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez had announced in mid-March that his office would not prosecute low-level crimes related to the virus pandemic. New York, the epicenter of the pandemic in the U.S., has officers are visiting restaurants, bars, supermarkets, salons, and public spaces to remind people of the ban on congregating to practice social distancing. Now, what I think is ironic is the article that I'm reading has a picture from a video that I recently did talking about those protesters in Lansing who bum rushed that Capitol building and was getting in the faces of all those officers. Notice not one of them budged and not one of those fools was arrested. I wonder why. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said that the NYPD's April data for social distancing summonses should be released Friday. The mayor said the number of summonses that have been issued is low, but there is indication that some things need to be fixed. When I saw those Brooklyn numbers, I found them to be an indicator of something that's wrong and we need to fix it, and we will fix it, said de Blasio, who added that officers will get more training. Here they go. And clearer protocols. They love to talk about this training that they're supposed to be getting. Listen. The NYPD, one of the most corrupt departments in America, has been doing this forever. Even before this social distancing thing was a thing. They've been doing it. That's all they know how to do. And don't let them fool you or run gunshots saying that they don't do quotas or anything like that. They go for quotas. And the scary part about this is this article right here, this narrative that they're pushing is also going to put out there and say that black people don't know how to follow social distancing rules, when clearly that's not just limited to black people. But then again, they said black people were the most likely to get the virus. So they put that out there. Stack this on top of that and see what happens. See what is happening. They always got to have this dark negative cloud over black people for something they didn't even start. I'm telling you, let the history books tell it one way. It's going to say that black people were the ones responsible for the transatlantic slave trade, and that we kept palm colored people in bondage for 400 plus years. We do not accept disparity, de Blasio said. When we see disparity, we are going to address it. The summon data collected by the NYPD was over a 6-week span from March 16th to May 5th. The numbers of arrests and summonses are extraordinarily low, de Blasio said. He also said in some cases there were 10 summons issued a day. The NYPD has been under fire after a video taken in Manhattan over the weekend appeared to show New York City police and New Yorkers who are not wearing masks clash after police observed a group not adhering to social distancing guidelines. An officer was stripped of his gun. They talking about Francisco Gonzalez. Now look at that. It says they were under fire after a video was taken in Manhattan over the weekend. I showed y'all that video. And appeared to show New York City police and New Yorkers who are not wearing masks clash after police observed the group. Now look at that. New York City police and New Yorkers. Notice how they separated the two. They separated the police from the citizen. Mind you, all of them are New York residents and all should be following the protocols. But on the other side of town, the police and another group of people, the palm-colored community, they were not wearing masks. And I'm talking about the community was not wearing masks. But they didn't mess with them in the way they messed with the black people there on the other side. See, they don't like to address this type of stuff. They don't. And then have the nerve to ask, why do you have to bring race into it? Because it is a racial issue. But that's easy for them to say because they've never had to deal with it. For all their lives, they've been told that this is a post-racial society and they have nothing to worry about. Never mind. Let me keep going. And let me see. I already read that part. On Thursday, during a live Q&A session with officers on Twitter, NYPD Commissioner Dermot Shea addressed the enforcement issue. He said the NYPD has been enforcing social distancing laws that didn't exist 3 months ago, and that the officers have been educating people, warning people, and getting compliance from people on social distancing. However, he acknowledged that there has been controversy on how the NYPD is enforcing social distancing. We have to make sure that we are impartial in how we enforce the law. I'm going to look at every incident and I'm going to call it as I see it. And if the comments in a particular incident were wrong, they're going to hear from me on that. I wonder how much punishment they're actually going to give. It's probably just going to be just some kind of verbal warning, as it usually is. Look at that whole thing with Francisco Garcia. That man has how many complaints and lawsuits against him, and he still kept his job. Let's see here. That's all I'm going to read it at. The rest of it is a bunch of BS. Listen, the fact of the matter is they are targeting black people specifically with this thing. Is like I said, it's basically stop and frisk all over again. But then again, I don't think it actually left. But now, like I said, they need an excuse to use it without calling it that. When I saw those pictures of them on the horse with the mask on and the helmet, it looked like a slave catcher's patrol. That's exactly what it looked like. But then again, like I said, this is the NYPD, one of the most corrupt departments in America. Again, in my top 5 is like I said, LAPD and the NYPD are neck and neck for either number 1 or number 2. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next one.